we go from loving each other to tolerating each other to can't stand each other, but yet want to hang out or have to hang out in the relationships, and then try to walk this way back into liking each other and then loving each other? I get that question consistently from married people who are on the verge of divorce, from family members, from people who are neighbors, from parent child relationships. It's amazing that we go into a relationship and we'll, with all of this essence of wanting to relate, wanting to connect, yearning um, to have amazing, safe, intellectual, heartwarming conversations and relationships with people who we think they're safe and we could be safe for them. I've watched many of the marriages where at the beginning of their honeymoon stage, they were completely in love and they would do anything. And even if they saw something wrong from their partners, they would give them the benefit of the doubt. They would actually listen and start talking and conversing and trying to resolve things. And then as years go by, the interest to resolution would be less, and this concept of I'm right and let me prove to you that I'm right and I have to fight for where I stand um, attempts to create more and more separation from there, until one day that they just say, they call it quits. It's like, I'm done, I'm totally done. And yet I don't want to be done. And even if I'm done with this relationship, who says that the next one I won't go through the same thing? I've gone through this with parents this week where their children, their grown children, it's just like, I don't like him or her anymore. Or children who see everything at the fault of their parents. And although they love them, but it's like they can't relate anymore. And you can take that in the work environment, you can take that in your best friends, you could take that in your neighborhood, you could take that in country people, countrymen, countrywomen. You can see that all over the place. What happens to us? Well, what happens is we lose interest. That at one point, when the desire is there for similarities, and we go into relationships with the hopes of similarities and looking at our similarities consistently, and then after a while, we obviously start looking at our differences. And then we start resisting everybody else's differences. And we want them to be just like us because it makes our identity more clear for us. It gives us the right to be if other people mimic us. So then it shows up as I am it, I'm the powerful. And, obviously my path is the right path. If I can enroll everybody else, that they should do it my way. Now, maybe you'll say it nicely, and then if you can't say it nicely, then you get upset, then you can manipulate, then you can strategize. And we see all of this in marriages and other close relationships, right? And even, larger relationships, such as politics or what we do in society. But what happens to us when we lose the concept of our similarities and the yearning that we originally had to be connected with people, to have a safe place to live? What happens to that part of us that really wants that, while it gets overridden, but another part of us that wants to be right and wants to be righteous and feels entitled by whatever I say it should be, and anyone else who doesn't believe in the way I do should be beheaded and is not going to be in my life anymore. Well, we lose relationships. We go into our own cocoon. Um, and then we go into a place of hopelessness and um, almost a place of I can't feel safe anymore in the world. I can't feel safe in my own home. I had a gentleman who, after 17 years of marriage, says, I go into a hotel and I feel better in the hotel when I'm alone versus waking up beside my wife in the morning. It's like, what happened? I remember them when they were completely in love and they went through this path, and something changed when they thought that who I am needs to stay and you have to become just like me, or I feel bothered, and I don't want to be around you. So, although it appears that my desire for the world to be just like me might appear to be great, but because it isn't, and because it isn't reality, that I'm going to face a very, very harsh and cruel reality that people aren't just like me, and they will never be just like me. There are areas that we're going to be similar. There are areas that we could connect to, and there's so many other areas that we don't. And yet, if I look at that as a possibility to growth, and I can actually look at who you are and look at how different you are, and maybe I can learn something. Maybe I can grow by learning something versus holding myself back in this cocoon. But not only that, I would feel safe everywhere among anyone in any shape, form, any race, from any country, with any language or any color, that I could also feel a belonging everywhere versus feeling completely separated and isolated. And then I have to fight for where I am. There's no need for fighting. I can connect to you, whoever you are, and I can connect and I can feel you in however you are. And hopefully you will connect with me. And maybe in those aspects is where we could save our marriages and save our relationships and save our connections with our family members, with our friends, with our neighbors, with the world. And it might be a place where you and I can feel safe being together. Well, thank you for listening.